So let's start with number 5 Michigan against number 1 Auburn. Auburn laying 7.5 here. Total of 152.5. This game is going to be played in Atlanta, which is going to feel like a home game for Auburn. Atlanta is not that far of a drive. They make this drive for football all the time. But Jenks, 7.5. It is a sizable point spread. Do we think Michigan can hang?
Yeah, I think I like Michigan here. I mean, Auburn is a juggernaut. There's no question about that. And they will have the home court or home region advantage, if you will. But also, Michigan has looked really good. The key for Michigan is we know they have those big guys on the inside, like Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf have been great. But when they get decent guard play, then they're really difficult to stop because then they can beat you in so many different ways. But if you talk about a team that has a lot of momentum right now, it's probably the Wolverines. And they went into that game against Texas A&M, and Texas A&M was a great and also a fantastic rebounding team, the best offensive rebounding team in the country, and Michigan out-rebounded them. If Michigan can be that physical against Auburn and still get the inside-out play they have gotten in this tournament, I think they can keep it within 7.5.
I think that's my initial lean as well, especially the further we get in this tournament, unless you're playing like Duke and it just feels like they're a wagon. You always consider the points if it's 7.5, because obviously this is multiple possessions. Should be noted that Auburn made quick work of a Creighton team that looked really good in their previous game, beat them by 12, 82-70. So maybe we see another iteration of that, but I don't know. I think people didn't really want to believe in Michigan coming into March Madness. I know people did want to believe in Michigan State. They didn't want to believe in Michigan. But I think if you're giving me 7.5 points, I'm going to go that route because we've seen this from Auburn, that sometimes they play down to the level of their competition. Maybe not so far in the tournament, or at least, in the full game. We've had some, at the half updates, we're like, why is Alabama State hanging with Auburn? But we've seen this throughout their schedule. And I'm not saying they're going to lose. I'm just saying 7.5 feels like a lot of points. And I feel like that's kind of a trend that I feel for myself, that we see some of these games. And if it's like a big number, I'm probably leaning towards the underdog. All right, not a huge number in this one. Ole Miss, Michigan State. I see the money line prices. Let's see what the spread of these two teams. But Ole Miss, what a story. One of the 27 SEC teams that are now in the Sweet 16, it feels like. Okay, Michigan laying 2.5, minus 160 on the money line. So, Jenks, does the run continue for Ole Miss, or are we underselling the Spartans?
I love the Spartans here. I would look around maybe, I don't even know if I'd take Michigan State on the money line. It's minus 160 at BetMGM, but I bet you could probably find that a little bit cheaper. I just think this is where coaching is going to matter in a big way. And I like Chris Beard a lot, and he's done a great job at Ole Miss, and I miss him at Texas, but this is old hat for Tom Izzo. 16th Sweet 16 of his career. And this is a Rebels team. I think we'll see a little bit of regression from Ole Miss. They're not a great shooting team. They were really great from the floor in their previous 2 games, but Michigan State is a team that's going to have a huge size advantage, I think, over Ole Miss in this game. And when it comes to late game decisions and everything being on the line, certainly you give that to Tom Izzo because he's been in this spot again and again and again. Michigan State is here for a reason. They've overachieved this season, which is not surprising because that's what Tom Izzo does. He always gets the most, if not more, out of the talent on his team. So I'm a big Izzo believer, and I like the Spartans here.
I think this is going to be a public play. I think a lot of people are going to see Tom Izzo, and they're going to want to back Michigan State, especially when the spread is pretty tight. I don't know. I feel like when I see these teams that make a run and kind of surprise people, these are teams that I don't really want to fade. And they're only getting 2.5 points here. So it's kind of a tough sell for Ole Miss. But the difference on paper is going to be the defense. Michigan State and Ole Miss both have top-tier offenses, both sitting in the top 25 according to KenPom. But the difference is Michigan State's defense, top 5 in the nation. So we know this is kind of the trademark of Tom Izzo teams is they're going to play really good defense. They're going to be fundamentally sound, and they're going to be really well coached. So I would lean towards Michigan State. But again, I've been sleeping on Ole Miss a little bit, so maybe I need to give them a little bit more credit. And plus, they have played a battle-tested schedule. We know the SEC has proven just how good it is by setting a tournament record with how many teams they've gotten into the tournament. So I think this is going to be a pass for me. I would lean towards Michigan State. But again, like, are we just going to see like 1 and 2 seeds in the Final Four? I kind of hope not. Maybe Ole Miss is one of those teams that could kind of like change the calculus a little bit. Do you have Michigan State in your
Yeah.
Final Four? Can't remember.
Do I have them? I think I do, actually. I need to double check my
Popular
bracket because
pick.
yeah, I think I have them making. Yeah, I do have them making the Final Four. I made that on this show because I kind of went against the conventional wisdom. Aren't they in the same region as Florida? Isn't that correct? I think they have Michigan State. Moving on.
I think they're with Auburn. So if you faded Auburn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's right. I have Michigan State.
Yeah. So we'll see with both of those teams. But we possibly could get Michigan and Michigan State a rematch in this next round if the SEC teams do not take care of business. But I would think at least one of those teams do win, and it's probably going to be Auburn. All right, let's go to the Midwest region. Purdue against top-seeded Houston. Houston laying 7.5 here, total of 132.5. So even if you take the names off the jerseys and the names off the bets, 7.5 points in a game with a total of 132.5. Jenks, I feel like the favorite's going to be a tough sell, but like Houston's defense is another level.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking about, which is that Houston defense is just unparalleled. And also, look at what Houston has done. Now, I know we're talking about them covering the number here, but they've won 15 straight games. And the one thing about Purdue that worries me is that they're talented. They have a couple of the best guards in the country with Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn, but also they're not necessarily as complete as the Cougars. I mean, they just aren't. And also, when you're talking about a team that is, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but that relies so heavily on guard play, can't you see the Cougars using that defense of theirs and really slowing down those guards and making Purdue ineffective? Now, Purdue will get to play in Indianapolis, which is huge for them. That's going to be a massive home court advantage right there in the Midwest. But also, Houston went undefeated on the road in Big 12 play. Like, they are unbelievable on the road. They just have a hyper focus. Man, it's a big number. But I think my early lean is laying the 7.5 with the Cougars just because I feel like this is their year. And also they're in the Sweet 16 for the 6th straight year. They have that experience as well. I mean, I have Houston winning it all. So it doesn't mean they're going to cover here, but my initial lean would be laying the 7.5 with Houston.
I think you put this like in a money line parlay or something. 7.5 makes me nervous. And I was trying to look down Purdue's schedule and say, okay, what's the best defense that they had faced and how did they fare against them? So the closest one I can find, and again, nobody really compares to Houston in my eyes. So like, this is just, trying to find something. Michigan State, we just talked about a top 5 defense, lots of them on the road, 75-66. So as good as the guard play is, like you mentioned, when you have a first team All-American on your team, like usually you're doing something right. I still feel like it's going to be Houston who wins the game, even though Braden Smith has been very, very good. So I don't know. I'm not going to lay the 7.5, but maybe we'll find something to pair with it. And maybe another game that's in that 7.5 range, because normally if you parlay 2 of those, that's going to get you like plus 110 or something. All right, how about this one? Kentucky and Tennessee. Tennessee laying 4.5, but Kentucky has already beat Tennessee twice this season. So Jenks, do we just take the points?
I think I'm just going to. That was kind of what I looked at. I know it's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. You hear that all the time, but also they don't have to win. Wildcats don't have to win outright here. All they have to do is cover the number. They just don't they just match up well against Tennessee? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's not necessarily like Tennessee is the better overall team. The numbers tell you that. The seeding tells you that. But the issue is that Kentucky they have the athleticism to sort of overcome some of the defensive things that Tennessee can do to you. Like Tennessee just matches up well enough. So I think I would just take the Cats here and grab the points.
Yeah, because Tennessee does not match up well against really good offensive-minded teams, because as good as their defense is, it's still not good enough to slow down some of the athleticism that Kentucky has, especially now that they're healthy. Like Lamont Butler missed some games for Kentucky. They've had like a rotating, injury list where it's somebody who's always hurt. So it just feels like Kentucky's peaking at the right time. They've already beat Tennessee twice. And Tennessee has shown that they are not good against those offensive-minded teams because their offense can go cold at any given moment. You are not going to survive a first half where you go like 2 of 12 from the 3-point line. and
Right.
live to tell about it against Kentucky. Like we saw that in the Illinois game. Even Illinois, that's really good offensively speaking, couldn't even hold pace with Kentucky. So I think I'm going to be on the Cats in this one, much to the chagrin of most people around here. Jenks, this is going to be a huge game for Middle Tennessee. We have so many Kentucky fans and we have so many Tennessee fans. I feel like every sports bar is going to be absolutely blown out for this one, but I do think it's the Cats fans that will get the bragging rights.